Welcome back. A local children's hospital is dedicated to helping kids with facial differences through facial reanimation.
Dr. Fong Wynn, director of craniofacial surgery at Memorial Hermann and UT Health, is joining us now with more on these procedures. Okay, craniofacial surgery. This is a really big deal. I mean, doctor, when we say life-changing, we truly mean it, because we're talking about children who are born with cleft palates and sometimes missing ears as well. But you can actually help them repair those issues and live a totally normal life.
Yeah, you know, July is Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness Month, and it really encompasses kind of a wide variety of different facial differences, including cleft lip, cleft palate, children born without ears or jaws, or born with skull anomalies. And we really want to get the word out there that, you know, kids are the same on the inside, and certainly from a surgeon's perspective, we want to restore their livelihood.
Absolutely, and give them some hope and their parents some hope as well. Something else that's really interesting is this facial palsy. Explain what that is and how common it is.
Well, I think most people have heard of Bell's palsy, which
Sure.
is probably the most common source of facial palsy. All told, facial palsy is about 1 in 5,000 people. Bell's palsy is something that happens without any warning, and a lot of people do get better, but a significant portion don't get better. In children, it's a little bit different, because the reason that you get a facial palsy, or one side of your face or both sides of your face don't move, can either be something you're born with, or it can be from a tumor, or it can be from trauma. So it really affects the way a child lives, the way a child perceives themselves, and how they grow psychosocially as well as just functionally.
But that facial palsy that you're talking about is something that you are able to help families correct, yes?
Absolutely, and that's, you know, we do have the technology. I think the word is not completely out there that there are people who are living with facial palsy who don't have that hope, don't have that idea that things can be better. But we do have options to improve how the face looks, how it functions, and ultimately give you a new smile.
And when you're talking about a new smile for a child who's not able to smile, and that comes with a lot of communication skills, right? And let's talk about this facial reanimation, because to regain a smile, a normal smile for the first time for some of these patients is really remarkable.
You know, it's such an amazing thing to see a child who had not had an ability to express themselves before now have this new way of doing one of those fundamental things that we all do on a day-to-day basis, which is show each other our face and smile and express emotion. Mm-hmm. So being able to provide something new like that is really life-changing.
And Dr. Wynn, a lot of these issues, we mentioned some jaw issues, cleft palates, children being born without ears. These are congenital issues, right? But you also see a lot of patients who go through some life changes because of a medical issue. Tell us about one of your patients, Alina, who at 11 years old has had issues after suffering a brain aneurysm.
Well, she's a wonderful little girl. Unfortunately, a few years ago, she had a devastating brain bleed and was found to have a mass in her brainstem, something called an AVM. She underwent surgery for that AVM to remove it in order to reduce the risk of more brain bleeds. But unfortunately, that developed into a facial palsy, so she was unable to move half of her face. And this, as you can imagine, is devastating for anybody, but imagine being an adolescent going through all of those changes. So as you can imagine, this was a very, very tough time for her.
Oh, absolutely. And we're looking at video of her and the progress she is making. A little bit about your background, Dr. Wynn, is you've spent more than 15 years traveling on missions, performing reconstructive surgeries around the world, especially children with congenital or acquired cleft palates and craniofacial deformities. So you know firsthand that the life-changing surgeries that these children can have, and really giving families hope. And even though we said that you've gone on these missions, these are things that are happening in our own backyard. And so being able to be part of Children's Memorial Hermann Hospital, that's where I had both of my kids, and it's a fantastic facility. But to be able to have this type of personalized care in our backyard is truly remarkable.
You're absolutely right. In fact, actually, my daughter was born at Children's Memorial as well, and I can't say enough good things about the hospital and all the staff there. As far as traveling around the world, I'll tell you, it is such a humbling experience when you see people from all different races and creeds and languages and cultures. There's still the universal thing that I've found. No matter what you look like, a parent always wants the best for their child and always wants their child to have the best future that they can have. So it doesn't really matter how much money you have or what kind of access to care. That is 100% consistent no matter where you go. So I think having an ability to help in that manner is really extraordinary.
And Dr. Wynn, I have to imagine that to be a parent or caregiver or family member of a child who's having one of these issues, it has got to be so terrifying. The range of emotions just must be so extreme. And part of what you have built your career on is not just about treating the problem. It's about evaluating the situation, about creating a diagnosis, creating a treatment plan, and really holding the hands of these family members as they heal through this entire process?
Well, I think the most important thing is being able to listen. You know, no two patients are the same. No two diagnoses are the same. Everyone is going through a private battle that you don't necessarily know about. So I think the most important thing is really being on the same team with each other and creating a partnership. Ultimately, surgery is one aspect of that partnership, but really it's a team approach. You have therapists, we have the parental support, the family support. All of that goes into play into making the life better for that child.
Well, Dr. Fong Wynn, Director of Craniofacial Surgery at Memorial Hermann and UT Health, thank you so much for your time today. And it really is incredible that we live in a day and time when families have solutions to, you know, what decades ago wasn't possible.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you soon. For more information about Children's Memorial Hermann Hospital, visit the website childrens.memorialhermann.org, or you can simply call 713-222-CARE.
Life-changing indeed for a lot of families. All right, shifting gears now.